Well, men's sheds are spaces where men who might feel lonely or isolated can come together, make connections, and maybe take up a woodworking project or two. They've really taken off in BC and across Canada for the past few years. In fact, there are now 23 men's sheds across BC. That's up from 8 in 2020, and there are nearly 3,000 of them around the world. Tristan Laurillard is the coordinator of the new men's shed that's just opened on Salt Spring Island, and he joins us on the line now. Good afternoon, Tristan.
Hello.
I talked a little bit about it off the top there, but tell us a bit more about the purpose of a men's shed.
Well, a men's shed is a place for men to work on creative things and do something good for the community as well, and connect with other men shoulder to shoulder. We provide men a place, somewhere to go, something to do, and have someone to talk to.
And why do you do this? I mean, people have their own sheds or might get together for woodworking projects. What do you hope happens at these men's sheds in particular?
Well, I think there are two answers to that. One is the gender norms, both the expectations of what is a man supposed to be and the internalized expectations. Men are less likely to engage in help-seeking behaviors. They're less likely to engage in forming and keeping social bonds. And just generally, the help-seeking patterns in men are consistently lower, especially when it comes to emotional problems. There's a discrepancy between the perception of needs and the help-seeking behavior. There are social norms of traditional masculinity that make help-seeking behavior more difficult because of the inhibition of the emotional expressiveness. And on Salt Spring Island, we are just getting started, but I've heard reports from other men's sheds that men's sheds save marriages, men's sheds help men drink less alcohol, men's sheds help men reduce or discontinue their medication. And my favorite report that I heard from a daughter whose father joined a men's shed, and she said, "I haven't heard my father sing in 20 years. He started a men's choir together with the other members from the men's shed." So I get goosebumps when I hear stories like this. And yeah, men need wellness services too. The second part of the answer is just the statistics. I've looked at state funding, and for every program that is funded for men, there are 92 projects funded for women. I also looked at the local phone directory here on Salt Spring Island. On page 8, we have the wellness services. There is a section for women's services, youth services, but there's nothing for men. Here on this island, we have 26% of the male residents, they live alone. So for the seniors, that means we have 400 men who have nobody to say hello to in the morning. So we give them, as I said, somewhere to go, something to do, and someone to talk to.
As you mentioned, as you called it, health-seeking behavior is not always something that men pull off. So what do you think will get a man who might not talk to someone about some problems he's dealing with, might not make an appointment to see a healthcare practitioner? What will make him come to your shed?
By being out in the community, that helps them give more attention to their own wellness. The men's shed will give men an opportunity to have that conversation, to make new connections, to stay physically active, to stay mentally active, because it stimulates the mind, the senses, and the memory. It helps them be distracted from pains. It gives them a sense of purpose. Now it helps them feel competent. They learn skills. They pass on their skills. They feel useful. And most importantly, they'll be in the presence of highly supportive men.
And so how does it work then? Is it you and other people there kind of keeping an eye on things, making sure that support is there when it's called for?
No, the men get a key and they can be there whenever they want. There's no supervision. It truly is their space. And we have full confidence that the other participants will provide an environment of emotional safety and also while working on a creative project together.
You mentioned that funding favors women. Where did the funding come from for this project?
Yes, that certainly has been a challenge. Luckily, in British Columbia, we are very well connected, all the men's sheds. There's the Men's Shed Association of British Columbia, and anyone who wants to start a men's shed, that is the first phone call to make. And they help with various things. We meet every month. We have insurance together. We exchange ideas, but also recommendations for how to finance a men's shed. So in our case, we were able to get a grant from United Way. They are a big supporter of men's sheds. And we've also applied for a grant from the Salt Spring Foundation. So now we have some funds to purchase tools. And in addition to that, we get donations from the residents, and that helps us to pay for BC Hydro, for example.
And what kind of things will the men do when they're in there? Is it all about building things and then hopefully having some conversations too?
Yes, there could be all kinds of things that men want to do. Men just generally like to be useful. So men's sheds become a place to find a tremendous amount of expertise, and with men who have a great willingness to be of service to the community. So men's sheds, they will build park benches, bulletin boards, tiny library, picnic tables, or modifications for people with disabilities. Maybe somebody needs a wheelchair ramp or height adjustment to a countertop. There are men's sheds that have delivered hospital beds. And also men's sheds are good for the family members of the men's shed members, because they may be concerned about their husband, their father, their brother, and they will find some respite when they know that their relative has a daytime activity, some comradeship, and support outside of the home.
I loved that story you told earlier about the daughter hearing her father sing again.
Yes.
I want to ask you, the term man has taken on many definitions. How welcoming is this space for people who identify as a man but may not have been assigned male at birth?
Oh, it's not up to us to define what is a man and what is not a man. If somebody feels that they belong in a men's shed, then they are welcome.
So people are listening right now, men on Salt Spring, going, yep, that's the place for me. What do they need to know?
We have a location right behind the Legion. They can show up, see if someone's there. We have a website where men can sign up, and then they get a key, and from then on, they're one of the boys.
Well, Tristan, thank you so much for taking the time to tell us about it today.
Thank you.
Tristan Laurillard is the coordinator of the Salt Spring Men's Shed. You can get more information at saltspringmensshed.ca. And for those living further up Vancouver Island, there is also one in Comox.